Hello everyone, welcome to the third video, Understanding Assessment in Competency-Based Dynamic Curriculum for MDMS Siddha, first semester course Biostatistics. Overview of the entire syllabus. So far we have seen Biostatistics course learning outcomes, syllabus with all modules and units, implementation of the syllabus, that is theory, practical and experiential learning with the examples and references. Now in this presentation we will be discussing in detail about understanding assessment, that is formative and summative with the examples. Assessment. Assessment is divided into modular assessment and summative assessment. Modular assessment done at the end of each module. It consists of a duration of 2 hours per credit, 25 marks per credit. Here the calculation of MGP and SGPA are done. SGPA will be calculated at the end of the semester as an average of all module MGPs. Students should get minimum of 60% of SGPA to qualify for the summative assessment. Coming to summative assessment, it is done at the end of the semester. End of the semester 1, that is an university examination of duration 3 hours with marks 100. Coming to modular assessment, that is formative assessment, common instructions. Assessment method, use different assessment methods for each module specified in the syllabus. Module specific assessment. Coming to module 1, practical structured viva. Module 2, working portfolio on experiential learning components of the module. Coming to module 3, problem-based assessment and performance assessment. Coming to module 4, structured educational video. Coming to module 5, open response questions. Finally, coming to module 6, practical record book. Any practical in converted form can be taken for assessment, or any of the experiential as portfolio or reflections or presentations can be taken as an assessment. This is to be conducted at the end of each module with 2 hours per credit and 25 marks per credit. Here we calculate the modular grade point as per table 6C. Coming to modular assessment, that is formative assessment, this is a view from page number 18. Here the modular assessment for module 1 is shown. Here you can see the assessment methods. There are two assessment methods, practical structured viva for 20 marks and B, practical record book for 5 marks, and it consists of 2 hours. Now we shall see in detail. Coming to modular assessment, 25 marks. A session, practical structured viva for 20 marks. Prepare 10 viva questions carrying each 2 marks, covering all the topics of module 1. Also, prepare key points for the answer and assign marks to each step. For an example, a question can be, what is mean in statistics? The answer key would be, for definition, you give 1 mark. That is, the mean is the measure of central tendency, also known as the arithmetic average of a data set. For formula, you give 1 mark. That is, mean is equal to sum of all observations divided by number of observations. Score marks for each student as per the answer key out of 20. Coming to part B, assign marks for practical record book for each student out of 5 marks. Coming to practical assessment, this is a view from page number 16. Any practical in converted form can be taken for assessment. Coming to practical training 1.5, the name of the activity is calculation of measures of dispersion for 3 sets of data. Here the activity details are demonstration by the teacher, then hands-on training by the students. Teacher would divide the students into small groups. Then the The student should be provided with sample data sets, one specific to domain or subject, and the other one can be demographic related. For this session, the students will use the sample data, domain sample data sets, or they can use the previous data sets for hands-on practice. Instruct each group to calculate the range, variance, standard deviation, etc. for their assigned data set. Encourage students to discuss among themselves. They can use any statistical software for calculation. Here, the teacher should facilitate a discussion on the differences between the range, variance, and standard deviation for the various data sets. The teacher shall summarize the key concepts covered in the practical session. So, any practical in converted form can be taken for assessment. Here, the practical may be converted and taken as a part of a formative assessment by giving data set to the students and instructing them to calculate the measures of dispersion either manually or using any statistical software or tools. Any experiential as portfolio or reflections or presentations can be taken as an assessment. Coming to this experiential learning 2.10, this is a view from page number 31. The activity name is study design, sampling techniques, and sample size formula. The activity details would be here the student is instructed to plan scenarios, specify the study design, specify the sampling techniques to be used, specify the sample size formula that has to be used. Finally, compile and submit a report. The teacher shall study the submitted report and give feedback. Working portfolio on experiential learning of the module. Give 5 marks for each step. This is students' instruction. Submit a draft report of their experiential learning. Receive feedback from their mentor on methodology. Revise the report based on the feedback. Include reflections on what you learned and after experiential learning. Write notes on what was challenging and how you overcame the obstacles. This is a sample calculation for a student. Here, MGP and SGP calculations are shown in detail. So, the first column represents module number and name. Here you can see there are 6 modules and a broad title with the module number are listed. The second B column shows the number of credits. The third C column shows the actual number of notional learning hours. D column shows attended number of notional learning hours. E column shows maximum marks of assessment for each module. F column shows the marks obtained by the student per module. The last column shows the calculation of MGP, which is equal to D into F divided by C into E into 100. So this is an example of a student who has scored marks in the MGP. So it is represented for first module is represented by C1, the second one by C2 and so on. The sixth module represented by C6. So the SGPA is calculated by summing all CIs divided by number of modules, that is 6. So here the student has scored a mark of 63%. Hence it is greater than or equal to 60%. He has been qualified to appear for the summative assessment or university examination. Summative assessment, that is university examination. The subject code Sidpg-BS. It consists of one paper with 100 marks for theory. There is no practical. Hence the total is 100. Coming to the pattern, there are 3 types of questions. ABQ questions, SAQ questions and LAQ questions. First type ABQ, that is application based question. One question should be asked from the syllabus. So 20 marks has been assigned for this particular question, hence the total is 20. Coming to short answer questions, 8 questions need to be asked. Each question carries 5 marks, hence the total is 14. Coming to LAQ questions, 4 questions need to be asked. Each carry 10 marks, hence the total is 40. Coming to the blueprint for summative assessment, that is university examination. This is a view from page number 84. So it shows the question numbers, then type of question, all questions are compulsory, and the question paper format, that is the questions need to be taken from these modules are specified in the last column. Coming to question 1, that is application based questions. It can be asked from module 2 or module 3 specified. Coming to short answer questions, 5 marks each. So these need to be asked in the module specified. Coming to question number 3, long answer questions. 4 questions need to be asked. Each carry 10 marks and it should be asked from these modules specified in the syllabus. Instruction for paper setting. Questions should be formulated based on table 6F. Questions should not be framed for a specific unit if it is marked as no. One application-based question will carry 20 marks and no additional questions should be asked from the same module where the ABQ is framed. Except for the module on which ABQ is framed, at least one short answer question should be framed from each module. Coming to long answer questions, it should be a structured, analytically assessing the higher cognitive skills of the student. Coming to application-based question, it carries 20 marks and it should be from Module 1, Unit 1, Unit 2 or Module 3, Unit 1, Unit 2. This is a view from page number 84 of the syllabus. It carries 20 marks. Here now you can see a sample question from Module 3. The broad title is Test of Significance and Parametric Statistical Test. The question is a question. Identify the statistical test used for the following, assuming normality and homogeneity of variances are met, and state the null hypothesis. This question carries 10 marks and 5 subdivisions are there. So first subdivision, to compare the means of two groups, independent or paired. Coming to the second one, to compare means across 3 or more groups. C, to compare the means of 2 related groups typically before and after treatment. Coming to D, to determine if there is a significant difference between the sample mean and population mean, or to compare the proportions of 2 groups. Coming to the last subdivision, to test the strength and direction of the linear relationship between two continuous variables. Coming to the B part of the question, a researcher wants to test if a new diet plan has an effect on the weight of individuals. A sample of 10 people is taken and their weight is measured before and after the diet plan. The data is shown as follows and it carries 10 marks. The first row represents the patient number. It runs from 1 to 10. The second row represents, that is, the patient's weight before diet in kg. And the third row represents the patient's weight after diet in kg. Now we shall see the key and how the marks has been assigned. Coming to part A question, for each, that is, if they say correctly the test name, you give 1 mark, and if they have correctly stated the null hypothesis, another 1 mark has been given. So these are the answers for the part A question. First one, students treated. The null hypothesis should be framed is there is no significant difference between the means of the two groups. Coming to the subdivision B, the answer is analysis of variance, and the null hypothesis to be framed is all group means are equal. That is, there is no significant difference between the groups. Coming to the C part, the answer is paired t-test. The null hypothesis should be there is no significant difference between the paired measurements. That is, the mean difference is 0. Coming to the D part, the answer is Z test. The null hypothesis should be the sample mean or proportion is equal to the population mean or proportion. Coming to the last subdivision, the answer is Pearson's correlation coefficient test. The null hypothesis is there is no significant linear relationship between the two variables, that is the correlation coefficient is 0. Now we shall see the answer for the B part. Key steps: give 2 marks for identifying correctly as paired t-test. All other steps will carry 1 mark each. There are 8 steps. Step 1, state the null hypothesis, you give 1 mark. Similarly, for all the rest of the 7 steps, you give each 1 mark. So, here you can see the step 2, calculate the difference between paired observations. Step 3, compute the mean and standard deviation of the difference. Step 4, calculate the t-statistics. Step 5, determine the degrees of freedom. Step 6, find the critical value t. Step 7, compare the calculated value t with critical value t. Step 8, conclusion. At the 5% significance level, there is sufficient evidence to conclude there is a statistically significant effect on the weight of individuals. Coming to short answer questions, each carry 5 marks. It should be from the rest of the module. No question should be framed from module 3. For example, let us assume we have framed a question from module 5, unit 1. A sample question is define point and period prevalence and state any 3 differences between the incidence and prevalence of a disease. So mark allocation, definition of point prevalence, give 1 mark. Definition of period prevalence, 1 mark. If they state 3 differences between the incidence and prevalence correctly, each you give 1 mark, hence 3 marks. Coming to the analytical based structured long answer questions, each carry 10 marks, and the question should be based on the modules specified in the syllabus. This is available from page number 84, and no question should be asked from module 3. Coming to module 1, unit 1, a sample question is shown. The duration of time from first exposure to HIV infection to AIDS diagnosis is called the incubation period. The incubation periods of a random sample of 5 HIV infected individuals are shown in years. That is 12.0, 10.5, 9.5, 6.3 and 13.5. There are 5 questions asked for the above problem. First one, calculate the range. Second one, calculate the sample mean. Third one, calculate the sample median. Fourth one, calculate the sample standard deviation. Coming to the last question, if the number 9.5 in the above data set is changed to 8.5, what would happen to the sample mean and median? If they answer correctly, give 2 marks each. Summary. So far we have seen assessment, that is formative assessment with examples, summative assessment with examples. So recap, in the first video we saw biostatistics course learning outcomes and biostatistics syllabus with all modules and units. Coming to the second video, we have seen implementation of the syllabus, that is in theory, practical and experiential learning with examples and references. In this video, we have seen understanding assessment, that is formative and summative with examples. Thank you.